Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon, Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
Yours keep flying high, fans cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Needy boys brawling, no holds barred loud. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker, in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe. Not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman?
Tune in the vibe. Party Rex, good setters. Got me on the mic now, let's spill the tea. Talking courtside dreams from history. Legends on the blacktop now and then. From Wilt to Steph, we hit it again. Mo better chimes in, let's go deep. Young bloods rising, can't skip a beat. Puppy prospects with fire in their eyes. Draft night suckers and hoop dream highs. Wire to wire, bring the heat. Podcast magic can't be beat. Do better, we're go better. We're who cares? Trendsetters.
What's poppin', y'all? It is your boy, Gardi3, and welcome back to the And One Podcast. And, of course, joining me just like every week, he is the greatest co-host of all time, Mo. Better. How you doing, Mo?
Hey, I'm doing great on a Thursday night. We're getting ready to talk NBA. What can be better than that? Let's get into it.
I know everybody's exhausted for the big game this past weekend. Kings Pelicans finally happened. We can all rest. If you forgot that game was happening, don't worry. Apparently the Kings did too. They got blown up by like 30. I tried to watch it, but of course, Mo, you know how it is. We got to start with some underrated players of the week. So why don't you get us kicked off with that? Who are some underrated players that you want to shout out this week?
My underrated player this week is going to be a guy that was a throw-in in a trade that will be one of the most talked about trades for the next 20 or 30 years. He's on the Dallas Mavericks. He's turned himself into a really good 3-and-D player. His name is Max Christie. Max Christie is a versatile defender, athletic, guard multiple positions. And he turned himself into a really good and effective three-point shooter. He's shooting over 42% from field from three, averaging 13 points a game. Look, we don't usually say the role player makes it not such a bad trade, but I do think that as Cooper Flag elevates and as they add more star power around him, it's guys like Anthony Black that help stars win divisions. It helps stars win playoff games. It's the role players. It's the glue guys. So I think Max Christie deserves some flowers. He's turned into a really good basketball player.
And that's fair enough. I actually love the shout out. You know what's funny? I was gonna shout out another teammate of Max Christie, ironically, and Najee Marshall. Najee Marshall's another dude who's been terrific for the Dallas Mavericks. And then I got some more though. It's the All-Star break, so I got a handful of guys I was going to shout out this week, Mo. A couple other guys I wanted to shout out who deserve a lot of love for their play so far. How about Sam Merrill, Mo, of the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Oh, I like that one. I like that one a lot.
Got Colin Gillespie of the Phoenix Suns.
Another good one.
Musa Diabate. We'll talk more about him in a minute here, but
Yeah.
I thought his play's been terrific. That stuff with Musa was crazy from this past weekend.
Hey, you know, this guy's not necessarily underrated because he's one of those guys that can be a lightning rod, and he's always gotten some attention one way or another. But a guy who's having a really good season on both ends of the floor is Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks is shown to be an effective second option on a really good Suns team. And I'll be honest, I never saw Dylan Brooks as a viable number 2. I thought at best he could be a 3, and he has been a very good 2 to Devin Booker's 1. And in a year where most of us thought Phoenix was going to be in the lottery, in a tough Western Conference, they're going to be very competitive. At worst, they'll probably be in the play-in.
No, absolutely. This is a Suns team that looks almost at a complete 180 from last year. They just redid their identity and went defense first, and they're reaping the rewards. It's been a fun team to watch, that's for sure. But those are some underrated players for this week. And Mo, of course, I feel like we just got to get right into the big topic from this past weekend.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Yeah, Hornets, Pistons, massive fight breaks out. 4 players suspended, but the real shocker is Isaiah Stewart only suspended for 7 games. So, Mo, when you saw that fight breakdown and you see the punishments that kind of came in for it, is it just me or did they feel a little soft?
For all the antics and the way that they kept pulling away from officials and coaches to try to continue going at each other, the disregard really for safety, not just themselves but others, I was shocked when Adam Silver handed down the suspensions. I couldn't believe it was just a soft result. Look, what happened the other night, it was no malice at the palace, but it was those players were completely out of control. And you know the rule. Anybody that comes off the bench automatically, with David Stern, you come off the bench. If you come off the bench, that's 7 games. But if you come off the bench and go to fool and put on the show, the way Isaiah Stewart did, you're looking 10, 15 games, maybe even 20 games. I just look, Adam Silver's a really good commissioner, but he's a soft commissioner. Discipline is not his thing.
It's one of those, with David Stern, we asked the Phoenix Suns about coming off the bench. That's how they lost all their stars for that Game 7 against San Antonio.
Right.
But especially when you come off the bench and the only thing you do is immediately start throwing punches. Like, to me, at that point, I'm like, well, double digits is a lock for Beast 2. I'm guessing at least like 12 games, but
yeah, I was blown away.
Hey, at the end of the day, if they're only going to be suspending people for 7 games, I'm going to need to see more fights then.
Yeah, I think you're going to see more. If that's the price you can pay, I think a lot of guys are going to be more with it. Like I said, to me, that was an opportunity for Adam Silver to lay down the hammer, and that wouldn't just be for Beef Stew. It would be for other players. Like, you know what I mean? Like, send a warning that kind of behavior won't be tolerated.
Well, that's fair enough. We got we actually had another fight that same night between Naz Reid and Mo Goy. Yeah, it's quite the night there. Say for NBA fights, it completely threw me off guard. But how about the buyout market? We had pretty shocking news. Jeremy Shohan and the San Antonio Spurs have agreed to his release, and it sounds like Jeremy is going to New York. Were you surprised, Mo, when you saw the news that he got released? And what do you think about Jeremy Shohan joining the New York Knicks?
One, I was definitely surprised that he got released because if you look at Shohan's skill set, he's a versatile player. he's the kind of player that has value because he can do multiple things on both ends of the floor. And I get it because of the young players like Dylan Harper and Castle stepping up and elevating. In their rotation, they didn't really have room for him. At least that's what they thought. But even if you said, we really don't have a role for you in our rotation, I feel like Shohan's the kind of player that you're telling me you can't trade him at least for a couple of second rounds. Like, they just got no value. They just said you can go. I mean, cool for them, but even better for his landing spot. And from what I'm hearing, is going to be with the Knicks.
Yeah, it's funny with him. But I thought they would at least get a couple picks from him because he was one of those guys when I'm looking at this next wave of extensions that the Spurs are going to have to give out. I thought he was the odd man out. Well, I guess I was kind of right in that regard. I just didn't expect them to just drop him and kind of keep moving.
Right. That was a shocker.
Say, yeah, I will say, I think he can be impactful for the New York Knicks. But, man, he's got to add a little bit more to his offensive game. I don't even need him to knock down, 40% of his threes. If he could figure out how to start hitting, DeMar DeRozan 15-footers, he'd be so much more valuable, or even just layups at this point.
No, I agree. Look, he's talent, but he's really raw. He's a raw talent. Obviously, he's a very good rebounder for his size, can defend multiple positions, but because he struggles with his shot and doesn't really have a refined post game or anything like that, he's probably more of a situational player, but still, he can be a valuable situational player. Look, I don't think the Knicks brought him there to score baskets. I think the Knicks brought him there because he's a live young body that can help defend multiple positions. The only thing I'm wondering is when you're Mike Brown, whenever he's on the floor, I have to assume you got to have at least 3 of your scorers on the floor with him because he's not a scorer.
Oh, yeah. No, he's either setting screens or he's going to be chilling in the dunker spot.
Right. Correct.
So I guess you can't really play him and Mitchell Robinson together that effectively.
Facts. Yes.
Yeah, no, I want to give a shout out to Cam Thomas for looking electric with Milwaukee last night. Love seeing it. Love seeing it from Cam. I wonder. I don't know how it's going to work going forward because I doubt we're going to be able to go into next season with all 3 guards. So, hey, next offseason, I could see the Bucks moving on from KPJ Rollins or obviously just Cam. But
so I think the Bucks are going to keep Rollins. And look, I know he got off to a rough start in his career, mostly because of his own personality and behavior issues. But Kevin Porter Jr. is a really good basketball player. One of those kind of guys that can do everything. I'm not sure you can walk away from that. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, Cam Thomas is the most dynamic scorer by far of the 3. It's not even close. But if you're a coach, if you're a doc, you can't give up the guys that do multiple things well. And getting buckets is important. And I think that they could keep Cam Thomas if he could understand that maybe going forward, that is his lot in life with the Bucks. And I think that's a perfect lot in life for him as a 6-man, as the guy that can come off the bench and give you 15 or 16 points. I'm talking about on average, because obviously Cam Thomas is the kind of guy that's going to drop 30 more than a few times. I like that guard trio. And the only way that it'll be a problem, obviously, is the obvious way when it comes down to money.
No, that's fair. I'm curious to see. It's going to be a challenge. I know at some point the Bucks will probably need to add another wing. Which, hey, you know what? Dieng looked good in his first couple outings with them too. So, but I know they're going to have to add a wing at some point. So it'll be interesting to see what the Bucks do in the offseason.
Well, look, get rid of Kuzma, then you're good. You're good to go. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm with you. They definitely need to add a young athletic wing. I'm with you on that.
Say, what did you think of James Harden's debut with the Cavs? Looked really good.
He did look really good. And you want to know when people go, what's the difference between Harden and Darius Garland? You need to look no further than just the game last night. James Harden made one shot the entire game and still finished with 13 points and I think like 12 assists. Darius Garland cannot do that. He's not capable of having double-digit scoring and only make one shot. James Harden, his superpower is still intact. His ability to draw fouls and get to the free throw line, that's not something you can teach. And he still has that. Not to mention the elite the elite passing and the ability to recognize guys or get guys in their spots. I get it. The trade-off is you're trading a guy that's a full 10 years younger. But if you're Cleveland and you're living in the now, like right now, and everything is about this season, then in this season and right now, you got the better basketball player.
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree. I still find it funny when people try to use the argument of James Harden's playoff, shortcomings is why, you should keep Garland. And I thought that was so funny because I'm like, what has Darius Garland done in the playoffs that I need to immediately keep him over James Harden? Like, he hasn't been that much of a playoff riser either, but I'm excited to see how the new look Clippers look going forward, though.
Yeah, I think that is going to be interesting to see the dynamics between Garland once he starts playing with Kawhi. And by the way, look, Kawhi, for all the talk of his injuries and in and out of the lineup, when the guy's been playing, he's looking like one of the 10 best players in basketball.
I agree with that. He's been open. I've loved what I've seen from Kawhi. I wonder. It almost feels like that they're going to move on from him. They probably should do it next offseason because, man, I don't know if it gets Kawhi's stock gets any higher after this season. He's just been electric. Love seeing Kawhi's energy this year.
Look, we talk a lot about how some of these great players are still playing at a high level on the other side of 35. I think Kawhi can play another 2 or 3 years at a really high level. But to max out that, I think that you're right. I think the Clippers should look to move on from him this offseason because, like you said, his value is kind of sky high right now. There's no doubt he's still an elite player. My only thing is, even though he's an elite player, you should never want to trade for him at this stage of his career thinking he could be the guy. If you're one of those teams that already have the guy in place and maybe a couple of other, scoring threats or whatever, and Kawhi comes in there in a different role, that's the best way to max out what he can do for you.
No, absolutely. I'm really curious with because you know what the latest rumors are. We got a potential expansion coming to Seattle and Vegas for NBA teams. I'd love for Seattle to get a team back for sure. But I'm curious to see who a team like the Clippers would actually protect on their roster. Every team can protect up to 8 players. Like, you protect Kawhi, and so I mean, I doubt an expansion draft will be it'll probably be 3 years from now. But yeah, I'm curious to see who the Clippers and teams would protect on their rosters.
Well, which is why I think you move Kawhi because look, by the time that draft comes around, that he won't have nearly the value that he has right now. And look at the Clippers, even though they're going to get Darius Garland, even though they did add Benjamin Mathurin, who I think is another bucket getter. I feel like they're one of those franchises that are kind of like they're just good enough to disappoint their fan base. I don't think the Clippers are a threat to come out of the West. I'm not even certain the Clippers are going to make the playoffs.
Hey, you know what? I don't think they will either. I think that Kawhi's talented. Kawhi might be talented enough to sneak him past the opening round, but after that, it gets really dicey. But we'll have to see. But hey, speaking of red hot outside of the fights, Mo, the Hornets have been rolling. They've been the best team in the NBA since the start of January, or they're up there for sure. What do you think about like the Hornets and what they've been on the second half of the year?
I want to say it's all about coaching, but I really feel like one player in particular is the catalyst for everything that's happening. Everything to me that's going on with the Hornets is the Con Knipple effect. Con came in there as a rookie, but he plays like a vet. So there's no debate. I'm not going to debate anybody on is LaMelo a bigger star and maybe the more talented player. I'm not disagreeing with that. But I don't know anybody that could say definitively that LaMelo is better than Con Knipple, even though he's a rookie. I think Con Knipple's been their best player, not just offensively. Con Knipple's a dog. He competes hard on defense. Like he's done things, Brett, that I didn't know he could. I did not know Con Knipple could take people off the bounce. Like I didn't know he had that in his game. I think because he plays as hard as he does, it almost shames his teammates to meet him at that same intensity. They always had talent. The only question was their effort and consistency. And they seem to have bought into it because now you have LaMelo, Brandon Miller, Bridges playing their best basketball. They have been the hottest team in the Eastern Conference, one of the hottest teams in the league. And I love it. It is great for their franchise. It's great for the league. I don't have a dog in the fight, but am I rooting for them to make the postseason? Absolutely. It would be a breath of fresh air for that team, that franchise, to have some type of success.
No, absolutely. I remember last year, Mo, for one of my hot takes, I thought the Hornets were going to break out, but I guess it was just a year too early on that one.
You know what, partner, though? I'm going to give you your due on that one because they didn't make any. The only addition they made, obviously, is Con Knipple, but the core of that team is still in place. The coach is still there. I think you were right. This was never about their talent. It was just about their mindset because talent-wise, just on talent, they're as talented as any team in the East.
Yeah, and hey, shout out their other young guy, Kalkbrenner. He's been an absolute monster down low for them. Like I said, I just love since last year. I definitely loved what the Hornets have been doing. They've been hitting on their early picks. So I love the development that we're seeing. I'm hoping this team makes the playoffs and we can get some electric playoff series. Like LaMelo would try to put on a show if he gets to the big dance.
Well, look, we already talked about it early on. The fight being what it was. Who doesn't want to see Pistons Hornets round one? I'm here for it. I think that would be a blast. I'm excited for their franchise. I really am. Like I said, it's been a long time just since they played themselves into respectability, but to now have a legit shot to make the postseason, that's exciting stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have the I was gonna say, by the way, another great game tonight, and Osem Dieng that we picked up from the Thunder has been a great addition for us so far. Like I said, he was balling yesterday, and he's balling again today against his old team. So, I'll give John Horst credit. He's actually pretty good at finding all these moves on the margins for us.
He seems to have been pushing the right buttons right now. Let me ask you a question. In the buyout market, because obviously we're not done. There's going to be a couple of more guys released, but do you think, and I haven't checked today, but the rumors were that maybe unless he's been picked up and I didn't know it, Lonzo Ball might go to the Hornets to join his brother.
I'll say no. I think Alonzo got picked up. Maybe let me double check. I think he might have got picked up. But no, I would. I guess he hasn't been picked up yet. But hey, I would like him on the Hornets. At the end of the day, might as well. He's sounds like a great teammate to have, and I'm sure his brother would love having him there. So honestly, I'd be here for it.
And look, I've become a Lonzo fan just because how good a player he was becoming before the horrific injury. And honestly, because of the kind of injury he had, I don't know if he's still like 100% where he should be physically. Because he didn't really look like himself with his stint with the Cavaliers. He had worked himself into being a really effective 3-point shooter, a good defender, struggled with his shot, and wasn't really effective defensively. So I'm wondering if with Lonzo Ball that whoever picks him up maybe thinks of bringing in Lonzo isn't about this year. It's about getting him right and having him ready for next year.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's something that I was thinking with watching Lonzo too. He never looked 100%. So I'm hoping that maybe take some extra time to rest up and heal and try again next year. He's a guy that I hope ends up having like a Sean Livingston career arc where he comes back, wins a couple titles before he goes out.
Oh, I hope that happens for him. Yeah, you just hit on one of my favorite players. To come back from what Sean Livingston, devastating injury, and turn himself into an important role player on a team that won multiple championships. Yeah, I would absolutely love that for Lonzo.
No, absolutely. So, Mo, I'm sure. Did you see all the finalists for the NBA Hall of Fame?
I saw your buddy Glenn, and I saw Blake, and I saw Amari, I saw Elena Deladon, and of course Candace Parker, who is a lock. I think Candace is a lock. I think Deladon gets in. I think Doc will get in if you look at the totality of his win total, because he's won a lot of games. He's won a lot of division titles, and he obviously has the one title. I was being sarcastic when I said I wouldn't vote him in. But I think you're right. I think Doc does get in. The two that are interesting are Griffin and Amari. And it's weird because they're different, but very similar. And even in their accolades, both are 6-time All-Stars, both are 5-time All-NBA players, both won Rookie of the Year. We would agree that both are not elite defenders. Both are terrific finishers. Where it separates is Blake was a better rebounder, and he was a much better facilitator. For a good portion of his career, Blake Griffin averaged 4.5, 5 assists a game. I think Amari cracked 2 assists a game a couple of times. He wasn't a facilitator. If one of them gets in my opinion, they both get in. But it wouldn't shock me if they made them wait longer, because I look at their careers. They were really, really good careers. I don't personally think they're Hall of Famers.
I was going to say Blake and Amari both feel like they go into the Hall of Very Good for me.
Yes, I agree. Facts.
I don't think they're quite, Hall of Fame level careers, and that's unfortunate. It felt like they were both kind of, very similar in the sense that, say, Amari was, I think, on his way, and then he went to New York and had, his knee injuries. Yeah. And then, say, Blake Griffin goes to Detroit, has that fantastic year, but then he gets taken down by injuries. And like you said, just very similar careers. If you put one in, just put the other in. But I don't think either of them are Hall of Fame.
Not locks. Like I feel like this. So if you're a Blake Griffin or Amari fan, and by the way, I'm a fan of both. I think you're a fan of both. We're just being honest about what we think. In terms of the Hall of Fame, you're talking about the best of the best. I think they're both. They've played well against the best of the best. They certainly have had really good seasons. I don't think they're Hall of Fame players. And if they do get in, it'll be one of those things where they get in, and I don't want 10 years from now, 15. Like they're gonna be waiting in the bar one day, and somebody's gonna go, "Guess what?" Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be a shock. Like they're just not first ballot Hall of Famers. Like if they get in, I think it's gonna be a bit of a wait. Hall of Very Good, I think you're spot on, partner. That's exactly what they are. So just for the record, a guy like Sean Marion, who was a teammate of Amari Stoudemire, I think the same thing would apply to Sean Marion. Very, very good. Not a Hall of Fame.
I'll say, a couple other interesting names, Mo, that are on here are Joey Crawford, the referee.
Joey.
Yeah, he's the finalist.
Is Joey the one that raced Barkley and Barkley ran backwards and fell down or whatever, or something like that? It was an All-Star game weekend. I think it was Joey Crawford.
Oh, yeah, say Joey Crawford. He was something else. He was a character, and he'll toss you for anything. And I think that's kind of what made it funny after a certain point.
Yeah, Joey had the respect of most players, and some players just couldn't stand him. But he was tough. He was not just a good official. He was very vocal. He was definitely a character. The funny thing is, hearing his name being up for the Hall of Fame, in terms of his job or his role in the NBA, I think there's a better chance that Joey gets in than Blake or Amari.
No, you know what's funny? You're right. You're right. I think Joey Crawford, at the end of the day, he probably not first ballot, but he probably does sneak in at some point.
Yeah.
When it comes to his profession, he was top of the line. So, hey, another guy who's in there, Kevin Johnson. He's up for the Hall.
Is that Kevin Johnson, Phoenix Suns, KJ?
Yeah.
Look, KJ is one of my favorite players all time. But if you know the history of Kevin Johnson, as terrific as he was, his career was just racked with injuries. We always talk about the best ability is availability, but he didn't have that ability. I'm going to be consistent, even though he's one of my favorite players. If those other two gentlemen aren't getting in that we just mentioned, KJ has no shot.
No, fair. Hey, the other fun one that I saw, the Veterans Committee finalist is they put up Marcus Johnson this year. So
Marcus Johnson of your Bucks and from UCLA, one of the guys. You know what? I remember him and Sid the Kid. I remember that Marcus Johnson was nice. I think I like the fact that the Veterans Committee is considering him. And if they deem him worthy, happy for him. I think that's going to be the route that Blake and Amari take. It's going to be one of those, the Veterans Committee takes a look at their careers and goes, I think they get in. But yeah, look, anybody that's a Bucks fan, going back to the Moncrief days, Marcus Johnson was athletic, could shoot the ball, had a strong mid-range game. Like I said, I remember as a kid watching him play against Doc, and he gave Doc work. So look, shout out to Marcus Johnson, one of the Bucks greats. I hope he does get in. I hope the Veterans Committee, deem him worthy. It's been a great week in terms of that. Like just last week, one of my favorite players coming up as a fan of the Niners, Roger Craig, got that call. So why not Marcus Johnson?
no, that's fair enough. Say, I'm curious, Mo. Have you been seeing what's going on with Darren Peterson, one of the top guys in the coming into the draft?
Is that the young man from Kansas?
Yeah.
He's a monster. He's a monster. Yeah.
Everybody, he is so good, but he's already like missing half the games, and then he missed the last game with the flu. It turns out him and the coach got into a big fight. It's a whole lot of. It almost feels like watching him. He's so good, but he also is like load managing through college, which I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before.
So what you're telling me is, even though officially he can't have an agent, he's getting advice from somebody, and he's making business decisions already.
Yeah, there was I think the weirdest game. I can't remember exactly who the opponent was, Mo, but he got tired, requested out in the middle of a play, which resulted in a turnover because they tried to throw it to him when he was requesting out. Ball goes out of bounds. He immediately walks off the court. But he comes back on, hits a clutch bucket to tie the game, send it to overtime, and then he proceeds to not play at all in overtime. It's so weird. We've never seen anything like this. It's I guess if you were a GMO and you're kind of seeing like monster talent, not monster availability,
that's a red flag. because it says something that who you are matters. Where your head is at, your mental does matter. You can have elite, and I mean next level. Think about all the elite guys that came in that were drafted, whose careers kind of like fell apart because they never could quite get their head on right, or they couldn't handle authority or any kind of constructive criticism. As talented as this kid is, do you remember how talented Michael Beasley was coming out? How talented, like Michael Beasley had the size to be a 4, but he had the ball handling skills to where he could wreck you as a 3. He could shoot, like he could do everything. But if your head's not on straight, if your mental isn't strong, if you lack character or that's a flaw, I think that's an issue. If I'm a GM and I know he's going to be the consensus number 1 pick, I don't know, man. If I'm a GM, I might be looking to trade the pick, thinking everybody looks at this guy as a franchise player, and he might be. But if I can go ahead and acquire somebody else's current star or a couple of stars and some assets for the rights for this guy, I'm probably going to do that.
Say, I am curious too if this will have any effect on some of these schools paying some of these younger players as well. Because, hey, at that point, like, would you want to pay one guy $3 million or maybe 3 guys $1 million? That will give it their all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder if kind of what's going on with Peterson changes the mindset maybe of some of these schools looking to offer these kids big money.
Kyle just put down a perfect comment. The perfect comment. I'm 100% with Kyle. Give me the guy that's a dog that's gonna put in the work. The guy that's if you will is an overachiever that's gonna work himself into being a star. Maybe not the most physically gifted, but just has that mentality that I'm gonna be that guy. And by the way, when I hear myself say those things, the first guy that comes to mind, Jaylen Brown. It's Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's that kind of guy. I'll take a Jaylen Brown over a prima donna who's more talented or physically gifted all day, every day.
No, that's fair. No, there we go. Hey, what's going on, Kyle? What's going on, Key, by the way? Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, no, I agree, though. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And like I said, if it affects his draft position, we'll see if he can stay ahead of other guys like Dime Basta, guys like, Boozer. It's going to be fun to see the race for the number 1 pick.
Boozer's an interesting one because you can see how well-rounded and how polished he is. And his post game is very similar to his pops. Like he can finish with either hand. He's very smooth. What I'm wondering is though, when he goes to the pros, what he's gonna play? He's not a center. And I think he can be a 4. He can definitely step away from the basket. He has more range than his father had, but I'm just wondering what he looks like when he's isolated on both ends of the floor, how good he'll be. Because I can see how skilled he is. I can. And a lot of times when these guys come out, Brett, what do we say? Like, well, look what he is now, Mo, what he's going to be in 5 years from now. I think my concern with a guy like Boozer is, Brett, that his ceiling, I don't think his ceiling is much higher than what he is now. Like, not that he's a bad player. He's very, very good. But I don't think that he's going to go too much further beyond what he is. I think he has a low ceiling. And it's not a bad ceiling. If I told you Boozer's ceiling is he's going to average 16 and 10 or 18 and 10 and be a really good player, that's not a bust. But we're always looking for that guy. I don't know if he's ever going to be that guy.
No, I don't think he'll ever be that guy, but I think he's going to be I think you put him at the 4. I think that's going to be his natural spot in the NBA. Find a rim protecting center that you can put up with next to him, because if there's one flaw with Boozer, a lot of people are rightfully so are questioning his just his athletic ability in general and ability to hang with the next level at the next level. He's not tall enough to guard 5, so your best bet is I think with him is he's probably just going to be a 4 at the NBA level.
in many ways, he's almost a mirror image of his pops. Offensively, Carlos Boozer could do no wrong. Like could score from either shoulder, could face you up, could put the ball on the deck. Strong rebounder, nice elbow to mid range game. But defensively, he's not going to do much for you on that end. That just wasn't a strength. Look, I think you're right. If you can put Cam with a guy with a center that's a dog, or a center that's a great rim protector like a Rudy or something. I'm just saying Rudy for example. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine. So that's when you're in that war room looking to pick players, you got to look how your roster is constructed. Sending Cam Boozer to the Sacramento Kings, you're not doing him a favor. You're doing him a disservice.
Say, it will be funny that that was the one team I was thinking about too when we're mentioning expansion drafts. Like, would the Kings even want to keep anybody, or would they be like, "Yep, have at it, take as many as you want"?
I think if I'm the Kings, other than Sabonis, I'd be like, everybody's on the table. Everybody's on the table.
So they might just try to join the expansion draft. Like, hey, we need more talent too.
I think the expansion draft is going to offer more talent, certainly younger talent. Like where like this year, Russ is on the Kings. I've been a Russell Westbrook fan for years, but I know what he was at his peak, and I know what he is right now. And I'm just wondering, is this the last hurrah for Rush, or does another team pick him up? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, because he's not in high demand at this stage in his career. And really, there's DeMar's 36, 37. I think an ISO scorer who's a poor 3-point shooter, I don't think DeMar's in high demand either. And then you have Zach LaVine, who's to me is the most frustrating player in the NBA, because as a talent, Zach LaVine is as talented as anybody, but he's maddening at the same time because he just does just enough, and he drives me crazy. If I'm the Kings, as a talent, you would want to keep Zach LaVine, but on the other hand, because he's not a leader, he's not a culture guy, what is the value in keeping him?
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think he'd be. I think the Kings would definitely hope, pray that one of the expansion teams take him if he's still cooking there. Granted, like I said, that's still a couple years away if it does happen.
Right.
Man, when I heard they were adding 2 teams, I was hoping they were adding the Vancouver Grizzlies again, but
the Grizz.
That's quite interesting too. The history with Vancouver, especially with their whole thing with Steve Francis, like in that story, him just immediately forcing a trade once he gets there.
Yes, I remember that. Oh, great question, Kyle. Even though BI is a legit 6'9" and is a bucket, he's not more talented than LaVine. I think LaVine is more maddening. Everything about LaVine, when you look at him, says this guy should be a top 15 player on talent. You cannot name 15 players more talented than Zach LaVine. But how he applies his talent and how he applies, or his mentality, or how he approaches the game, it drives me crazy. Like, a good example, we all love Tyrese Maxey, ultra quick, incredible scorer. The only thing Tyrese Maxey has over Zach LaVine is obviously that quickness. But on talent, does not have more talent than Zach LaVine. He's not more athletic than Zach LaVine. Like I said, go down the list. Some of the best players are considered, like Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is nowhere near as talented as Zach LaVine, and yet he's a better basketball player. Zach LaVine drives me crazy.
It's funny because I feel the same way about Brandon Ingram. He just drives me crazy though, because I just can't stand his shot selection 90% of the time. Like, there's just too many times where I watch him have a mismatch, and he's shooting that 15-footer over the top when he can easily get to the rim. Like, his shot selection is just frustrating for me at times.
LaVine does that thing that one of my favorite players does that drives me crazy. He does that Jason Tatum thing. He crosses you, blows by you, but then he comes back to you to take the shot. That's insanity. That is insanity. And he does it all the time. And I'm like, if you blow by me, you keep going. You don't need to come back.
Say, aren't the Grizzlies the likely team to move to the Eastern Conference with both expansion teams going west? I think it's either them. I think it's probably end up being the Timberwolves.
Like you know what? I think you're right. If they're gonna do that, it'll be the Timberwolves.
Like I would say, you can just add them right to like the Central with the Bucks, and I think that would probably make the most sense in all reality. Say I'm super excited for that. It'll be fun to see a team back in Seattle.
Let me ask you this. I saw a conversation this morning, and it started based off the comments of Kevin Durant and Kevin. They were talking about the All-Star game and how competitive it is or isn't. And obviously they're doing another new format with it's the USA versus the world team or whatever. And KD was like, don't ask me about competitive. Why don't you ask Joker or Luka? Those guys don't play hard in the All-Star. But which, by the way, is Kevin Durant wrong when he says Joker and Luka don't play hard in the All-Star game? No, he's not. They to say they don't care at all, they don't care. They don't care. And I think he took it in a weird way because he was like, they're attacking the older NBA players. And I'm like, no. Fans are attacking all NBA players that make the All-Star game and play. We're not old, but everybody that's on the floor, when you guys are looking like a lazy layup line, when Steph Curry physically lays down because somebody wants to get a dunk off, you're not even trying to remotely compete. And fans are sick of that. They are. I get it. It's an All-Star game, and you're not going to play like it's Game 7 of the finals, but at least do what they used to do. Play a little bit kind of hard in the first or second quarter, and then around mid third quarter, make it get competitive, get a little doggish and compete. And they haven't done that in years in the All-Star game. And you knew something was wrong when Larry Bird went in there and he tried to pump them up and talk them into being motivated. They just played worse or were even lazier. Like, I get it, right? What the players are saying is we play hard. All-Star weekend is when we want to relax and have fun. I do understand that, but they have to understand the paying fan that pays to watch that game or actually is there live. They want to see you give some semblance of competition. And I don't know why that's so hard. I think it's funny because if the world team plays hard, the NBA players, the other players have no choice but to play hard. They're not going to let the world team just blow them out by 40. Like, you have to assume they have pride. I don't think everything Katie said was wrong. I just think that him being ultra sensitive, he made it about like fans are coming for the older players. And I'm like, fans are coming for all the players because all the players are guilty. When Luka's trying to do like dunks off the backboard or him and Joker are taking half court shots. And it's not just them, it's everybody on the floor. You get more competition with the rookie second year player game. You know what I mean? Like that game is more competitive than the All-Star game.
No, absolutely. My follow-up to KD would be, why doesn't he set the tone and see who follows him? Fair enough, Kyle.
Because Kyle, you know this, KD's a follower. Even though he's one of the greatest players ever, he has never been and never will be. He's not a leader. He's a follower.
It'll be interesting. Older All-Star games had fun moments too, but the competition was there.
It was. I used to like the fact that guys like not just Jordan, but Penny Hardaway, Graham, those guys all knew that the team that won got more money than the team that lost. That mattered to them. If that's what you need to motivate you, I'm cool. The league has tried to, I think, raise what the winners get, and that still hasn't worked. They did a new format last year. They're doing this thing this year. If there wasn't a problem, they wouldn't keep coming up with all these gimmicks. And it's not just the All-Star game. Look at the slam dunk competition. That used to be one of the main events of the All-Star game. It used to be a staple. And now nobody cares. And nobody and the fans don't care because the players don't care. You used to be able to get at least 3, 4, 5 stars compete in a slam dunk competition. And you can't get anybody to compete in a slam dunk competition anymore because all the stars are worried about their brands and they're worried about what will be said about them on social media should they lose or miss a dunk really bad or whatever. That's what they're more concerned about rather than just competing. And I don't know how you change that.
Say what's probably the biggest reason why we're never going to get that 1v1 competition like Unrivaled has. It's unfortunate.
Oh, you will look. Look, the ladies are so far ahead of the guys. You will never get a one-on-one competition in the NBA ever. The closest thing you'll get to a one-on-one competition in the NBA is they'll probably play like a game of horse.
Hey, you know what? I feel like there's some. Unfortunately, I feel like there's some guys who probably would just go out there and hoop 1v1, but they're not. They never get voted to All-Star games. It's so funny. It just feels like that. I would love to see a 1v1 competition, but bring in some non-All-Stars because there's a lot of non-All-Stars that can just get buckets.
Maybe that's the way to go. Maybe don't look for the stars to do those kind of things. Like maybe we do a one-on-one and we get a guy like Cam Thomas going one-on-one against what's the kid for the Celtics? The 3-point shooter.
Peyton Pritchard?
Yeah, why not? One-on-one. Cam Thomas, Peyton Pritchard. We can both agree right now that neither one of them can guard each other, so that should be fun to watch.
If we Cam Reddish would start wiping people in ones.
Kyle said Isaiah Stewart versus Draymond with prison rules.
Game ends 0-0 tie. They're just fighting within the first 5 seconds.
That's funny. Your guy, Kevin Porter Jr. I think Kevin Porter Jr. would be a beast in a game of one-on-one.
No, absolutely. It's like we got Cam Thomas, of course. Bobby Portis always plays one-on-one anyway. I feel like he'd be down to do it.
He always plays it. I hear you. But yeah, I think they can find ways to make it fun. Instead, like even now with the slam dunk. I mean, what do we got? Jackson Hayes. Who else is in it? Like, I just when I saw the names, I was like, am I even gonna watch? So the highlight this week is basically going to be the 3-point shot.
The celebrity 3-point contest with an active NBA player in it.
Brett, you know what? I was looking forward to tonight's show because I wanted to ask you this. I don't know if you're thinking the way I'm thinking, but I you know that in a celebrity game, Giannis is one of the coaches, right?
Oh yeah.
You also know that Shams Charania is playing for one of the teams, right?
He's a part of Team Antetokounmpo.
So what I want to know is, at halftime, is Giannis going to start the rumor that Shams is getting traded?
100%.
Because that's what I'm here for. I want Giannis to go over to the other coach and go, I can't do it. We want to move Shams, and we'll just take cash back.
Hey, Thanasis said on his podcast already that Shams is on the block, so
I didn't know that. That's good.
Oh yeah, so honestly, I like the idea of the celebrity. Like the celebrity games are fun because it's a lot of guys who don't hoop that often hooping. It's so funny to watch. I just don't understand, Mo. Why did you add an active NBA player in the 3-point contest? Like, I get it's the celebrity 3-point contest. Why is Jared McCain in there?
Yeah, that was kind of odd. I did not understand that at all. And look, the beauty of the celebrity game is you're not expecting high level quality, but every now and then there'll be one or two celebrities that have you going like, oh, he can hoop a little bit. You know what I mean? Like you get a little surprised, like, yo, he can hoop a little bit. I don't know how you throw Jared McCain in there. That's so odd, so random. And the funny thing is, he's an NBA player, but he's also an NBA player that's not a good 3-point shooter. I don't think that's a good look for the league if he loses to some guy from a sitcom. That won't be a good look.
But it was kind of funny because my first thought was, McCain, you better not lose this one, or you will never hear the end of it. I am sorry.
Which means he has all the think about it. He's not a good 3-point shooter from the rip, and then he's got all the pressure in the world where because everybody's going to say like, you better not lose to none of these celebrities. And then he's going to end up losing to all the celebrities, or one of them at least. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, Jason Williams in the celebrity game? Which Jason Williams? Not chocolate? Oh.
Same. Oh, White Chocolate might be in the celebrity game.
Ooh. Why? He's not a celebrity.
Oh, hey, you know what? He had a lot to say though about Jared McCain. He told him he's got to stop doing those TikToks when he gets to OKC. Which I always find it weird when players get so pressed over doing like TikToks. Like, just leave it alone, dog.
Yeah, I saw him say something like, "If he was in my locker room and he was doing that, there'd be a problem." I'm like, I remember you when you was playing. You wasn't nobody's tough guy. You wasn't nobody's enforcer. If he was on your team, there wouldn't have been a problem because you wouldn't have done that. I don't know when suddenly White Chocolate became a tough guy. He needs to stop, man. He had like he won a 3-point shootout. He did not.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Hey, T3 and D. I'm sorry if I'm seeing your guys' comments late. They're not popping up on the screen like normal, so I'm seeing them all really late.
Kyle said White Chocolate. I think he's not chocolate.
Hey, you know what? The Kings look real nice as soon as he left, so if that counts for something.
I've been telling people that. And you know what people throw back at me? Mo, look at his highlight reel. And I'm like, here we go with the highlight reel. I know he's got one of the greatest highlight reels in NBA history, but his highlight reel is 10 times better than his career ever was. Y'all got to stop overrating dudes that was pretty good. Y'all got to stop that. The dude was a bricklayer. Like, you would think he could shoot. If you pull up his numbers, he couldn't shoot. Couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. He didn't become halfway decent until he was washed up and he was a role player in the Heat. But y'all remember him because he's got one of the best highlight reels. Y'all got to stop, man. Here's the thing. Mike Bibby did not have a great highlight reel, but Mike Bibby was a better basketball player, and it's not even close.
Say, Mike Bibby was Shaq's worst nightmare, the way he could start raining pull-up jumpers.
Because you know Shaq's going to do drop coverage, and the Kings used to eat Shaq alive.
Yeah, say, as soon as Bibby got there, he was a big reason they pushed that Lakers team to 7.
It was. Had Jason Williams stayed, we would have took them on 5.
Honestly, I'd go Lakers in 4 at that point.
Yeah, wasn't doing that.
Say, I am curious though. You see the latest reports with apparently the Kerr wanted to develop Jonathan Kuminga kind of like a Sean Marion style player that can play off the ball, defend, but Jonathan Kuminga apparently just wanted to have more of an on-ball role. I guess seeing that report, Mo, do you think Steve Kerr had the right idea in trying to develop Kuminga there? Or?
Think about what Steve Kerr said. He said, I want you to be more like a Marion, an elite defender that can guard multiple positions. Like he basically looked at a guy like Jonathan Kuminga, Brett, and said, I know you have all the talent in the world, but I'm thinking role player. That's what he said. Like, because in Steve Kerr's mind, Brett, all Steve Kerr was concerned with is, I'm in the Steph era, and I'm kind of set on my guys. What I don't have time is, to develop another guy and to be a star because I still got Steph here. Like, if I'm Kuminga, I'd be pissed too. Like, you want me to do what? Like I get that. I get that. Like, Kuminga has an offensive skill set. Look, he may never be a star, but the same way Jordan Poole was a bucket, it's in a different way. I think Kuminga's a bucket. He doesn't have to be your best guy, but I do think he has value. I think Kerr's thing was he was impatient in terms of dealing with younger players. When they got Wiseman, even though I wasn't a big Wiseman guy, I thought they gave up on Wiseman way too fast because they just didn't take the time to really try to develop him. But they stuck with a guy like Moses Moody, who's a good player, but Moses Moody is a role player. All Moses Moody will ever be is a role player. There's nothing wrong with that. Pods is a good player, but all Pods will ever be is a role player. Nothing wrong with that. But I think there's a difference between both of those guys and Kuminga. I think Kuminga has a higher ceiling than either one of those guys.
Yeah, no, and I hope that's a ceiling that he's able to recognize in Atlanta, because if he's able to hit whatever his ceiling is over there, say that team could be dangerous. But yeah, Bo, that's all I had for us tonight. Anything you want to add before we get on out of here?
No, I have fun. Appreciate it a lot. Always love the energy from the chat. Jason Williams shot 10 for Tim in Game 6 in the Eastern. Right. But again, that was when he had creaky knees and he finally learned how to shoot. I'm talking about when he was at the Grizzlies, when he was with the Kings. Jason Williams couldn't hit water without a boat. When he became an old man and was a role player, he learned how to shoot. But he had to learn how to shoot because his quicks were gone. I'm talking about when y'all called him white chocolate, the guy couldn't shoot the ball. Couldn't guard nobody, couldn't shoot the ball. I'm just saying. It's not an accident that they got better as soon as he left.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, you can check out Passion and Precision tomorrow night. And you know how it is. Mo and I will have more and one and on the ball and meaty boys for you next week. So, that being said, we thank you guys for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you for tuning in to the And One podcast. If you like our content, you can find more on the Wire to Wire Podcast Network on YouTube, Facebook, and Spotify. Want more And One? Find it on Wire to Wire. Like and share our Facebook page, and join the And One Discord. Grab the link to join from our Facebook. Thank you for tuning in, and have a wonderful day.